Lo! My beloved children, loves of my life, jewels of my eyes. There was much said about Atlantis, the site of vacations. It was told in the far-off lands that there was a time when Sabatot, Wu Saat, Sirius and Orion were not apart from Ptah Nun the planet Earth, and that one could just walk the steps or climb the rope from Ptah Nun to Pa Patatot the heavens. It was known that Sabatot was ruled by Nisut at Yu, and it was known that Saat was ruled by Nisut Yu. Both were Natstaru, agreeable overseers, benevolent, respecting each other. So the two were joined, and it was recorded that these Natstaru incarnated from the first of these four worlds 24,000 years ago and walked Pa Taha the earth, ground as guardians. While others who came to Ptah Nun the planet Earth for other reasons of their choice, many were disagreeable, and dwelt in caves and hillsides on the outside of the garden, where they used Homo erectus as laborers as they mined for gold. Pa Natstaru encompasses all that is and cannot be contained in caves. They were ruled by Pa Nazdar Nisut, Ba Ibis, Bes of the Little Ones, sons and daughters of Pa Kamanu of the Seas, brother of Ptah. Bes the Protector became consort of Anat Mhab, and she gave birth to Hat Har. Bes the Protector was first consort to Sakam Tet, and she gave birth to Nafertum. Ptah later became a consort of Sakam Tet. Together they birthed sons and daughters. The sons were first Amun, then Sakar, then Hap, then Sabak, then Amhetip, then Stahudi. Those were the sons born on Sabatot Wu Ptah Nun to Ptah Wu Sakam Tet in times past. Each of their sons were guardians over the creatures of Ptah Nun, Amun over bovine, Sakar over fowlins, Hap over mammalians, Sabak over reptilians, Amhetip over humanoids, Stahudi over simians, each in his own. In the record of Mesopotamia it was recorded on stones and scrolls that the offspring of Elohim were males and females of both Karabu Karabim, and Sarabu Seraphim who came from the skies, and also were known as Malak and Malak. In the scrolls of the Hebrew Hebrews it was recorded to put the blame on the female for what Pa Karabu who raped them did, and for their wicked offspring of giants, did in the earth. It was told that the female made Pa Nazdaru angry and Nisut. Ptah took himself back to the skies, removing the right to Saat and Sabatot from the humanoids because of his disgust for the women. It is also told that he, the male, offended Nysu, Bes by imitating Pa Natstaru, yet, these are all lies made up by the ruler of Pa Karabu. Pa Masa, Karab, who is called by many names and titles. This became the lies of their beginnings. Thus was not the right knowledge, the right wisdom or the right understanding, sound right reasoning. For the sacred records reveal the truth as Pa Matatot. Actual facts from Pa Natstaru and all that happened was not told in truth, it was nothing more than lies of the liars. And many lived by these lies from the beginning of the fourth world to the last 6,000 years, being under a spell of ignorance. To believe in whatever is passed on to them, to have faith and be hypnotized by the liars. It was the talk in the far lands, it is wrong knowledge of the outer place people and their deities, evil ones. Mortal men talked of Anu Heliopolis from whence they came. Now from Anu toward the south, came great mortals, for the great land of Remus Ramesses, and all felt them return. Out of the encircling Nile rivers, over at the lands they laid, Napata and Meroe, there were mighty mortals Sabadu, Ka Manu, Tainamu in those days and of their land. The old tablets and scrolls speak of these times. Their dwelling places were set in the swamplands from whence no mountains rose. In the land of many waters before the separation of the land mass by waters. When the four great lands of now were one land. No Red Sea existed. No Persian Gulf existed. No Atlantic Ocean existed. They were all one land called Gan-Ah. Then came the ice and waters, and beneath the land that separated them, became lands of many waters. Slow flowing to the north from the south on into the Mediterranean Sea. In the shallow lake lands among the mud out beyond the great plain of reeds, at the place of many flowers bedecking plant and tree in the land of frogs. Where trees grew beards, and were very tall, and many had branches like ropes which bound them together, for the ground would not support them. There were butterflies like birds and spiders as large as the outstretched arms of men. There was much gold to be found there. The bees made the richest of honey, the birds of the air and the fish of the waters had hues ever so beautiful, which dazzled the eyes. They lured mortals to that land, even insects fed on the flesh of mortals. There were elephants in great numbers with mighty curved tusks and fur great and brown. This land had become two lands, and to its south were many small islands. Between them was the choice of Pa Natstaru to construct the most perfect school of learning. So, the waters were named site of vacationing. It was a welcoming place surrounded by waters on all sides, and became known as Atlan. The way to it was from between two great pillars to the east. It was invaded by evil Homocanine beast of the fields who came from the northeast. So Pa Natstaru departed, and in one great shadow hour of destruction the two lands north and south from where it was seen, fell into the waters of the deep and were lost. When the earth became born again by the sun's rays of light, called the next day, and the lands were owned by Negroids from the east land, which parted from it, and those who attempted to invade it, Caucasoids were driven to madness, all was gone. Man's kind, the Homo canine, clothed themselves with the skins of beast and were eaters of flesh and drinkers of blood. They themselves were food for their own overlords Karabim, Anakim, Raphaim, Anunnaki of Nibiru Chi, the original center of Enlil's city and Shumer called Nippur, in Akkadian, Mesopotamia. If they did not offer their overlords offerings of flesh and blood as rituals of sacrifices of their firstborn and daughters to them, they would be taken by night and never returned, for they became flesh and blood offerings for their overlords Ina and Anaki, Anakim. This was their way of living. They did not bury their dead, left their carcasses on which the hellhounds feasted. The dead laid about in their caves and hills. There was much disease, odor and filth, until a creature was created to clean up the filth by breeding the rodent rat, feline cat, canine dog to breed the hog. It was an eater of all things and anything. It was created to eat up the filth in the caves and hillsides, but the Homo canine began to hunt and eat them as well. There was much sickness and disease for the Caucasoids, and they invaded others, raped, killed, stole land, claimed it as theirs, and their overlords gave them a way to live. These became clans known as Celtics. Their two tribes were, those with yellow fur and blue eyes, and those with red fur and green eyes. They were given Wiccan and Druid rites by their overlords. They gathered them with what's called religion. This was an attempt to civilize them. This failed. They were given scrolls of laws to follow. Some did, others refused. There was war, bloodshed, rape, killing and much flesh eating as the heavens looked on, giving them 6,000 years to roam free. They were wild beasts and were eaten by wild beasts. The giants with clashing teeth used them for food. A great horde of rats and hogs roamed and devoured everything, so that mortals died. The overlords were brain eaters. They sent greys to hunt mortals and offer them as food for the gods. The brain eater Pa Te Namu of Drago's star system, called Dragoman, Leviathan, Dragon, worked with the overlords of the Caucasoids clans. They were Kama Pleiadians of the constellation Taurus, called Luciferians, the Karabu children who became their Elohim gods, Malachiam angels, their Rabbim overlords and Kohanim teachers. In time, names changed and one language became many tongues. Anunna became Anak to become Elohim, to become Yahwehim, Adonam to Rabbim, who taught mortals, who became Nabim, then El Shaddai, on to Allah, from Eloah, from El, and on and on. The overlord's true nature was washed from the minds of mortals. They became gods, then God of fear and trust. Obey the God who is jealous, or you will end up in a burning hell's fire. You would be eaten by hellhounds, tortured forever. This became a religion that ordered them to kill for us, steal for us, slaughter animals to me, pray to me, steal others' lands for me. I alone am God, obey me. Fear me, or I will condemn you. I give you 613 commandments, and those you break. You are my chosen, offer others to me, have no others beside me, or I will destroy you all by fire. This is how it was in time. Their children wandered from the caves and hillsides like the wild beasts, and both men and women because of them became stricken with diseases and leprosy that passed on to their children's children. Sores covered their bodies, leprous bodies. Their once dark hair became colorless as their overlords, and its texture transformed from woolly to thin and flank, straight as the other beasts, and yellow. It became far fur. Their skin spotted, ruddy, red and transparent raw flesh which swelled up and burst. It was as if flames consumed their bodies. Every one of them who had an issue of seed within them, and every one of their women who had a flow of blood, could not give birth. Their overlords ordered them to mix their seeds with the human gods, Negroids, in order to breed new children, or they would die out. Their children grow up without instruction and having no truth of the past, and those they worship as God, Dios, Allah, El, Elohim, El Shaddai, Adonai, Theos, Lord and Rab, and many other names in many tongues whom they call on in prayer. Their children's children turned to strange ways and beliefs. Each claimed they are right while all others were wrong. They became divided according to their tongues and formed families, tribes, religions the world over. Most come down to the most important rule of law: kill for your deity, be it called offerings or sacrifice, wars and judgments on others to execute. Doctors, nurses and cremators all worked to kill for their overlords, from a man they called Abraham, Ibrahim, all the way down to a man they called Ahmad, Mohammed, Mustafa, Muhammad al-Amin. They all teach of the same beings of light, fire appearing to them to give instructions to slaughter, kill, war, sacrifice, offer blood of living creatures to them or him. Their children of old Kephive Canaanites were lepers, flesh-eaters, who worshipped a deity they called Belial, Belal of the Baalim, headed by Baalzebub. Canaan or Canaanites became many tribes Canaanites. They were flesh-eaters. Cain and Baal became cannibal of cannibalism. They dwelled, many in the Caucasus Mountains. This was the land from whence mankind came and the seat of Negroids of the Garden knew to avoid these human beasts. Their records were kept in Remus by the wise ones Tehuti. The people of the very far east called Mongoloid, Mangala who came westward to learn from Asia, these Asiatic black men and Dravidians of South Far East came to study the arts of Ganaw under Jedui the benevolent snake man of the deep sea. Many came to Patan on earth by the ways of the seasons and in wisdom of the stars, having knowledge of the dragons of old. As recorded on their own parchments of the wars in the skies, the coming down to earth, the mixing of the seeds, and the great deluge, the study of the mystic cube within a cube. They all learned to cover their dead and how to prepare their dead, in case the old ones return to recreate, restore or resurrect their great ones. They also learned how to mummify and to preserve at least one cell to be cloned. The real reason for mummifying bodies was to preserve the cells for later dates when the Natstaru return and resurrect their offspring. They come to study under Jedi and Stahutwi one and the same, 3 persons in one. Before this all the dead were cremated in the sacred fire and covered with potter's clay and hardened so the beast of the field would not dig up their bodies and eat their flesh. It was not the old custom to put the dead in boxes or in shallow graves to be taken and devoured, and some of the civilized of Caucasoids came from Honibu Greeks, Captra Cretes and Phoenicu Phoenicians. Those who came to study with the great Stahutwi the master teacher who was cunning, a master craftsman in stone in the art of levitation and cutting without the sound of a hammer nor the sweat of the forehead, brow. His student became wise as snakes, yet gentle as lambs. They of the Far East learned to carve fine images in wood and ivory, and to weave from the silkworm. Each took something back to their own to teach them. The Caucasoids worshipped Atar, their own high deity, and a strange fire in a place of great silence. They paid homage to huge sea monster Leviathan, Dagon, a reptilian, and they called their old ones Titans and Olympians and pretended they were Pa-Natstaru, of their own image, so they can claim to be gods themselves. This angered Niset, Bess, their overseer. They took learning and changed it over. They believed it's good to stir, plunder lands, rape, rob, kill and claim. They lived by a simple rule: consume, control, lie, cheat, steal, kill, rape and claim, headed up by those they call Odin and Thor. Yet, back in Remus Ramesses, when a Caucasoid female had a child by a Negroid male, it was called a son of God. When a Negroid female had a child by a Caucasoid male, it was called a son of man. Many giants were born, some up to 9 feet tall. Sons of the devil were when 2 Caucasu gave birth. Star children were when 2 Negroids gave birth to a child. Over the last or fourth world of 6,000 years there had been much intermixing of the divine seed with the cursed seed. In Remus there was a great city, Anu, city of the children of the sun, Negroids. This city was also the landing site for those from above. It had roads and waterways and open fields that were bounded with walls of stone and channels. A site on the northeastern edge of Afef Re-Ka, site of Emhetip who lived on and on. It was also called Lunu, abode of the children of Anu or tides. It was also called On. The site of learning. Site of Pa-Sabata the Enneads. It was connected to the river by a canal and comprised many advanced complex for secret rites. The center of the main temple was dedicated to Autumn Re, being the creator of Pa-Sabata the Enneads, that are the golden children. Kafnut and Sha'u and Nut and Gabab and Ashed and Asar and Nabaptet Hatet and Sadak, and the new 9th being Har. They became part of Anu's triad, those being Amun and Asar and Har. There was found the great black pyramid flat-topped mountain of Pa-Natstaru. The city Anu had walls of stone and was decorated with stones of red and black and white and with gold. Shells and feathers, lamps of light, crafts that could fly. There were heavy green stones in the land and stones patterned in black and brown. Giant stones moved miles by liquid metal white quicksilver mercury, and the arts of anti-gravitation, as a force of attraction of one body for another, and resulted in levity to levitate great stones, the workings of magnesium, the workings of magnetism, such magnificent workings from above. There were stones of Tura, which mortals cut for talismans and ornaments, stones which became molten liquid for cunning works. Such was the goings on in Anu with the golden children. Linked to the southwest at Navteplaya. These were the workings of your ancient ancestors. They built walls of black glass and bound them with glass by secret fire, a gift from Pa-Natstaru. They used strange secret fire from the nether world which was only slightly separated from them, and crafts from the skies and from beneath the seas descended and rose in your midsts. Pointing out from above on earth as 32 latitude and 33 latitude as markings around the globe, and the power of silent sound was used, acoustic levitation and still movement, cube within a cube, and gave to mortals eye reflectors of glass stones, which cured disease and sickness, even the curse of leprosy in mankind. They purified water and the air, they used a liquid metal and stone and chased out of men evil spirits in flowing fire. All this in the land of Afef-Re-A-Ka Africa, until it became a land in which dwell three peoples, the indigenous race of Negroids, the first race, the Mongoloid race and the Caucasoid race. From these three peoples came all others on this planet. Yet, those who came from Remus and Ptolemy were becoming fewer in number. It was the people of common Hermopolis who built the Great Guardian, whichever watchers looking toward the awakening race of Africans in the place of Pa-Nats-Daru. The day that he does not come forth his voice will be heard. In olden times when mortals lived in the ground, there came the Great One whose name is known by few, Jedui, Ya'anun, a name, has no mother and father, has no beginning of days nor end of days, it is worn by a chosen being, the creator of Pa-Sabat-Yu, and is changed with tongues. Son of Khafra, father of the name Kamat, Kamet, Kemet, Kam, Ham who was the father of Kushta, Kis, Kish, Cash, and Cush, a son of the sun, Nisid of the guardian of mysteries, Nabab of the guardian of mysteries, Nabab of rights. Protector of the gatekeepers XYX and YXY, the guardians of the way to the stars, the hermaphrodites, the hemaphrodites, whose bodies at birth vibrate on twice the resonant frequency, to vibrate with themselves twice and raise their body frequency and reach out to Atun-Re in the above. Such was Amun-Hetep Pa-Raban, known by most as Akh-En-Atun, a hermaphrodite, and his chosen consort was Nafr-En-Atun, known by most as Nefertiti, Nefertiti of mixed Ibiru seed. Yet, a hermaphrodite. They together vibrate on a very high frequency and relocated to Akhat Atun, horizon of the Atun, also called Tel El Amarna, on the east bank of the Nile in the middle of the land. The site was to be the vortex to Atun, Aten above. The golden child was born of Akh-En-Atun and his true wife Kia. This was Pa-Masa Karast, names Tehuchtui Ankh-Amun or Tutankhamun, living image of Amun. This name was his own mother's choice. Tutankhamun's hermaphrodite father, Akh-En-Atun, disagreed with the worship of Amun-Re for Atun-Re, to the anger of the priest of Amun. So Akh-En-Atun changed his name from Tutankhamun to Tutankhatun. His throne name was Nabab Khaf-Re-Em-Re or Neb-Ki-Perura. As you see in this throne name, master of Khafra of Re, the key to the gateway, the middle pyramid, first Khufu, second and middle Khafra and third Minute Kar. The gateway links to the middle star of Sa'at, Orion's belt. The golden child would stand in the center with two hermaphrodites and two hemaphrodites, that is 4. Each have the power of inner resonant frequency. 2 times 4 equals 8, or the cube within the cube, power to open the vortex and even transfer matter in cells. This was prevented by those who did not know the hidden wisdom of neuter beings, without whom you cannot open or find the gateway. It was aligned in this day and time after the 6,000-year rule on September 9, 2009 AD. Yet you were not prepared, and the incarnate one was in the hands of evil, who would act as the golden one for you, foiled by emotions of your own. Judgments and disputes are advocates of the dead specter 6 ether forces. False interpreter of Pa-Nats-Daru. Misleaders, liars and deceivers, even those under the earth spoke of it, the Daru, the Teru and Daani. The Great Father, Ptah of fishers from the west, from beyond Ab to Abydos came to you, the Great One Jedui. Nuwapians, when you hear or read of the existence of transparent white-skinned, fur-headed humanoids on this planet before 6,000 years ago, that is not Caucasoids of the cursed seed of Canaanites, Kephu, Hekakasutu. That's extraterrestrials who come from other star systems, who set up in Turkey, Greece and Lebanon, built cities, and once they finished their works here these sites sank or were buried under the desert sands, or vacated their settlements and departed. Some returned from time to time to investigate their handiworks, many cloned from their own DNA a breed of human and beast. Many crossbred and produced other species, some to take back with them and some for food, and some escaped and wandered to other parts of Earth. Many were destroyed by weather change or meteorite shower or comets that strike this planet, and some mixed in with the cursed seed of Kephu, Hekakasutu, in an attempt to cure their leprosy. Even crossbreeding them with canines and simians and other creatures, resulting in strange creatures like chimeras, satyrs, minotaurs, centaurs, and much deformities in half-human form like griffins and mermaids. They would hunt and kill all they could find. Not all of these creatures were removed and roam still these days out of sight. White man descendants of the crossbreeding are deformed even at birth, 2 persons joined, born with no eyes, some with bodies covered with canine fur, some tall as giants, some with tails, some with scales, some with no skin color, some with the minds of the killer beast, and some with no mind at all. Much breeding, cloning, crossbreeding was done on this planet in the past 4 worlds of 24,000 years on this planet. Yet, the Caucasoid race of Kephu was created in 4004 BCE and later grafted with Euclideans, their overlords they call Lord, with the plan to rule this planet and kill all other subraces and the pure race. Yet, their time of 6,000 years ended in 2000 AD and they failed their overlords, Pa Karabu, and had their rapture. 144,000 were taken to become food and 300,000 each day of other races until the great day comes of the destroyer's return. The great right eye of Re will look from behind this 9 ball, your sun. 9 in line from Neptune, the first planet from the outside, and being Pluto does not take part in this solar system, or its system of movement is as a renegade on its own course. The alignment after 26,000 years, 2,000 years before the first world and shift of axis when the crust shifted, that time is upon Earth again. This is the recordings of Stahutwi, 3-in-1 persons who taught you the secret of writing and ontologies, numbers and supreme mathematics, measurements of the moment, second, minute, hour, week, month and year, time. Teacher of all the world's wise, who read the meaning of clouds and stars and the writing of movement of the heavens, who taught the preservation of the body, that your soul might commune with the living and your spirit with the beast, and that they might be linked to your etheric being and the gateway from the earth to return to the heavens, who taught that breath is life, who taught the words of Pa Not Staru, whom spoke to the hearts of Negroids and hid things from the hearts of Caucasoids, giving the way, the truth and the life for those who seek overstanding of self, kind and others. Who spoke to Pa Ha Nut Yu, priests of a moon ray, speaking and teaching in many schools, the scribe of many works differently according to their wishes. Who taught that beyond the visible world is the invisible, yet real existence, and beyond the smallest atom hydrogen are even smaller ethers, and beyond the planet are many others with intelligent life, and beyond this universe there are multiverses, and that all things are linked together in on, the all in all. Pa Pot Pa Sakat the silent, listen, who taught the tones of the stars linked to the voice of each of you in unison, which until now has been lost, and the original language or Pa Not Staru, NWPU, NWPU, and the way of their living, NWPU, given to you in the sounds of the waters, the sounds of the winds, the sounds of the soil, the sounds of life and the living, the sound of death and the death. Who incarnated from time to time, known by many titles by different people at different times. Who gives what you ask until I can give what I incarnate to give. Who taught mortals to grow, come together and to spin flax. To make bricks and fashion stone after a cunning secret manner. Who taught mortals the rituals of inside purification, to speak with one voice, not 30 or more, to connect with your ancestors needed. Who taught mortals the nature and the right knowledge of Pa Not Staru. Who veiled the great secrets in the 9th chapter, the actual facts which you can remember, and in signs and symbols, which would not be lost to your children's children. Who brought to you the sacred right eye of Re and watched the left eye of Har Re Harakat, from your distant land Patamaye Re A, Tamare, and the Black Pyramid and its rituals and rites, and the scarab stone to link you to the rising sun, Autumn Re, and my own color blue for lapis lazuli. A sign of Kaf Re, the middle star, sun, of Sa'at Hazam Orion S belt, pushing the dust of the earth as dung toward that sun, the beginning of a new day, the Scarabaeus saucer, the stone of light, form the blue waters. These are the records of the sacred secrets at the end times, recorded after the old records on Safafat, Lawa'at. As they were and will be before your very eyes. In this Patarak for your salvation. This is your records to be kept by you. Each of you stand alone on that day. Eat this record up, taste its meaning, bitter as it is.